Kia ora.
Kia ora.
You're back with your hype aunties.
I'm Auntie Manu.
And I'm Auntie Sarah.
I guess you already know us by now. I would like to hope so, because we've been around. This is week 10, and we are reviewing the past 9 weeks together and the results that we got and the learnings, so that you can go further faster, not repeating our mistakes, but taking them and running with it.
Yeah, and just in case you haven't seen much of us before, we are hyping small businesses by doing a live once a week and then creating 5 or 6 posts through the rest of the week to share more details about that business and get that business in front of more eyeballs and hopefully boost their business. That's the intention. We're doing this using the mechanism of lives, which is just one of the many ways that businesses can get in front of customers, and a lot of people just aren't using that mechanism yet, and it's just one of those things that a lot of small businesses are being left behind because they're not on social media, they're not using lives, they're not using all of the different options available to them, maybe because it feels really foreign to them and they're not confident, or it's just another thing to learn, or loads of reasons. But we're kind of trying to say, give it a go. We're also just 2 old aunties having a go and figuring it out as it goes. And so far, we've got over 26,000 views for the businesses that we have been promoting, which is a shock to us as much as anyone else. But we're really impressed that you can get those kind of results. So that's what we're here for. Today, we're kind of reviewing weeks 3 through 6. And during those weeks, we promoted businesses called the Hobby Hanger here in Hamilton. We went to Hamilton Lake to do that. We also promoted the RDA, the Riding for the Disabled in Cambridge, and that was the first and only not-for-profit we've done so far, and they had these amazing horse characters to play with for the videos. It was totally different from anything we had done up until then. And the last one is
Casabella Lane.
Casabella Lane, where we had actually 5 different businesses to promote, which was a totally different take on things again. So we really are like mixing it up and trying stuff out. And so let's travel down memory lane and see where we landed. Now, last week we said we were only going to be half an hour. We really tried to stick with that again today.
Actually, we need to set up the alarm because
it felt
we have so much that we can share.
We felt like it was 3 minutes and it was gone. So let's see how we go. Today already, Auntie Manu and I have joined the international community of the We Do Not Care Club. It is a perimenopausal and menopausal women's club, and it's we've just done some TikToks for that, so we'll be posting shortly as well. So we've had some fun describing all the things we do not care about, which include the fact that some people think that our visors are lame or that we are too sparkly. We're very happy being lame, sparkly hype aunties, and it brings us joy, so we do not care.
And having all those lives, one of the main features of them is that it brings our authentic selves to you. It's a modern way to connect with people, so modern relationship building tool, I would say. It's not just about marketing, and it can get you in front of the people that will really understand you, so your tribe. And with us, we are backed by all those businesses that we want to amplify, and it's such a privilege to tell their story. So the first one, the week 4 of our journey was going to Hamilton Lake,
yes,
or Lake Rotorua, and we had the Hobby Hanger with us.
Yes, and I'm really impressed that you got that out this time.
Yeah, because I Manu was in all the possible ways.
They were hungry. So pronunciation of certain, such a challenge. So we hadn't planned early enough, and probably like businesses are really busy. So one of the key learnings from that week was really we need to be planning a few weeks out. And sometimes that doesn't mean that people aren't busy, but it just means they can get more involved and they can do more to make the most of the opportunity to go live. So for us, in the way that we do this, it was a real lesson around planning and communications being a little bit earlier. But at the same time, it was also around making the most of what you've got. So because we didn't have the opportunity to talk to the business in advance, we actually went through what can we do to promote that we're doing this. And Manu happened to have, because she lives near Hamilton Lake, a video of one of those little jet boats, which is what the kind of things that they sell at Hobby Hanger, on her phone from just one of her walks around the lake. And that, so far, is our most viral post, that little video of that little jet boat. And we don't know why, but it
That was
is.
such a lucky find.
Yeah.
I did remember that I had that little video that I took because I go to the Hamilton Lake every single day for a walk. And every now and then I do come across the customers of Hobby Hanger, and they have different boats, and it's quite impressive because they have fast ones or proper sailing boats, and there is different technique that they are sharing. And I was wondering, will we be trusted with one of those boats? And the answer was no.
We're not qualified. Apparently, it's quite it's a skill set that you have to acquire, and also those boats are worth a lot of money. And the odds of me and Auntie Manu sinking one was a little high.
Yeah, or having to swim to get it back.
Yeah, which, you know, let's face it, nobody wants to do in winter.
No,
so,
not really.
So that was the Hobby Hanger. We did do our first time lapse, I think. No, second time lapse. We tried another time lapse walking through their store. We found that.
Oh, yes, true.
We definitely found that time lapses are extreme speed. And so when you do a time lapse, like it's not a walkthrough, you actually can't see anything in terms of detail. So that was that week's time lapse.
It's just a bit too much.
Yeah, it was a lot. It
almost gives you the
seasickness.
A seizure. Just looking at all those images coming and us coming in and out of frame. But they do work really well. And in tools like Canva, you can slow them down. So sometimes I would still take time lapses, but I would put them at the lowest speed possible, and it would be fine. But also there's this action, that energy that goes through the video, which is something that we found working really, really well. And maybe something that was lacking in the Hamilton Lake.
Maybe.
Remember?
And we went to, we do add a little bit of music to some of the time lapses as well, which does maybe help with adding views. So that was...
they're there for the music, no?
They're there for the music. There's a little bop along. Stops them from scrolling as quickly, maybe. I don't know. It's all theory. One of our reviews this morning was that, you know, we have some posts that do much better than others. So we've got views anywhere from 0 views on some of our videos to like thousands on some of our others. And the one thing that's not very clear is what does it take for a video to do really well versus what causes a video to get 0 views. Sometimes we actually don't know the answer to that. So we're spending a little bit more time researching that so that we can replicate better results. So far, our major learning is if you just keep posting every day, you'll get a bit of both.
Consistency.
Yeah, so consistency in posting is really important. So then you'll get a bit of both. You'll have some videos that don't do well at all, and you'll have some videos that do really well, and overall you get pretty good results. But the same amount of effort goes into the video that you got 0 views for as goes into one of the videos that has 2,000 views. So you really want to maximize the output and the result that you get by figuring out what's causing one video to do well and then being able to replicate the formula. At the moment, we feel like we've got a recipe we follow with pretty much the same recipe, but sometimes we're getting banana cake that nobody wants, and other days we're getting chocolate cake that gets totally eaten up.
It's always cake.
It's always cake, but you know, we have a video as an end product. Some of them are a big hit and some of them aren't. So we're just trying to figure out what the differences are. And that's a really big part of our next steps to get even better results for the businesses, we hope.
But one thing that we do agree on is that action does pay off.
Oh, yeah.
There is the energy behind the video does make a difference. And it's good to keep an eye on different elements that can actually give that element of surprise, that energy, that extra boost
Interest.
that will
Yeah.
actually bring really some interactions or something in the videos. And when we went through the Hamilton Lakes, as much as it was really beautiful,
It's pretty.
it was a little bit lacking that because it was a longer trek for us to walk through, and because it was a day in which a person that was really willing to come and to demonstrate those boats but couldn't, we didn't have that element of action or something that we could latch on that would actually make it more exciting.
Yeah, so our original plan was that we would play with one of these boats at Hamilton Lake or get some instruction.
That was the best case scenario.
Yeah. Or if someone else was demonstrating even. And that creates interest and that creates, an activity.
Yeah.
And so that would have been better. We didn't have that. So it was just me and Auntie Manu walking Hamilton Lake, talking about these items and these boats and things. That was not as interesting. So we did find that fell a little bit flat, not just in terms of views, because the views weren't that heavily impacted, but really in terms of interest for us. Because a huge part of doing this work is around us getting a thrill out of learning something new or doing something new and having some fun. And, we walk Hamilton Lake quite a lot. So it wasn't as fun as some of the other things that we've done.
And I think fun translates into good content.
It really
People
does.
want to be part of fun moments. So yeah, that was our learnings.
Cool.
Next week we went to Cambridge, and it all started in a really interesting way. Again, I thought, well, while I'm connecting with the business, seeing the flow and how the live could look like, I will also take some footage just in case. So I thought the time lapse is a really good one. And Cambridge have a walk of fame.
The horse walk of fame.
The horse
Yeah.
walk of fame, because it's a very important equine center, and there are a lot of racing horses that did really well in the world. So they had amongst the main street different posts that are celebrating those racing horses, and they are quite beautiful. It's in the shape of their profile, and then it has a little bit about the name, and you're going through the city from one end to the other. And I thought it would be really cool to have a time lapse to showcase this entire walk.
And it was really cool. It was very wet as well.
As I started going through the time lapse and walking down the streets, I started feeling this little drizzle, and I thought, okay, no, that's fine. Nothing much of it. And I continued walking, and it started to be a little bit harder. And then heavier rain. By the end of it, it was pouring. I was running, completely drenched. My camera was with.
And also that the video gets very dark at the end.
It's blooming at me, and the camera has a little drop that is falling down, and I'm trying to get to the end where there is this man with a beautiful
statue.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So funny.
Well, that one did really well.
It did
there
really
was a
well.
lot of action. There was a lot of energy behind it, and people loved it.
People love watching Manu run for it.
I don't know whether I recommend it, but I was laughing hysterically by the end of it, and I thought, actually, this is so much fun and crazy to do.
The RDA was really interesting because obviously a not-for-profit that really relies heavily on volunteers and donators can use all the extra airtime they can get.
Yeah.
And so that was a really interesting place to go. Connectivity, which we had learnt about at Hamilton Gardens, was again a problem at the RDA. So they just had patches where we couldn't get anything. So in the end, we just ended up doing a lot of video.
Really improvised it.
Yeah.
We just saw that in one moment it caught, and we did need it to do it in a different way. So stay flexible. Whatever you do,
don't
show must
freak
go
out.
on. It's fine.
Don't freak out. Yeah, don't freak out. And just kind of like we do a little post to say, hey, this is what's happening. And then we upload it a little later than 12 o'clock noon. Nobody died. We did have really beautiful personalities in the horses and in the volunteers and the workers at the
Such a beautiful
RDA.
space.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
And so we had really cool interviews with humans, and we had really cool interviews with horses, where we could talk a little bit about these personalities and what their special gift in terms of how they help people with disabilities and still being able to experience the joy and independence and learning of riding and the connectivity between horse and man. That is really something very special that can be experienced by people regardless of their ability. Huge learning for me was that a lot of the disabilities that they serve are invisible. So looking at a person doesn't necessarily tell you whether they would benefit from something like riding with the disabled. It can be, that they have severe ADHD or something like that, and that actually makes managing energy really challenging for them with lots of different types of activities. And so having horses trained in dealing with people who have these kinds of situations going on is fantastic because it allows them to still participate. And we witnessed some just gorgeous dancing on horseback happening while we were there.
YMCA.
Yeah, they were doing the YMCA.
So
And they were
cool.
prepping for a concert at the end of the term. And they were so into it. The horses were very calm and really well behaved. But you could just see the value that it was adding, not only to the kids, because we were watching kids, but also to the parents to see the joy on their children's faces, and to the volunteers who absolutely adore working with these horses. So we had a really good week in terms of having lots of interest. Very big learning was that sometimes you'll post something and for 48 hours, 0 things happen, nothing. You've posted it and you're literally hearing crickets in the background. And then you'll come back to it a week later and it's got 800 views. And there's just no telling how the algorithm will pick something up and run with it. And that again comes back to the consistency of posting. We're just giving ourselves more chances that something we've posted is going to resonate. So we enjoyed our week at the RDA in Cambridge. And we loved meeting all the people there too.
So some things that really work well were the personalities of different horses.
Yeah.
We did little snippets where we were introduced into the world of the every single horse that they have in there, and it was quite interesting seeing the diversity of it, but also seeing at the back end, seeing the data that was showing up, because there were the posts about the horses, there were the posts about the volunteering, there was a call to action inviting people to support, to donate. And some posts did well straight off the bat, like the horses. Some did nothing for the first 24, 48 hours, and then they started to actually pick up and had quite some steam behind it at the end. So it was interesting seeing that sometimes, especially on Facebook, you cannot tell what will be a successful post from the first 48 hours. You just need to let it simmer a little bit.
Absolutely. And we've seen that across other campaigns now as well. So that's consistent, is that sometimes you have things that go off like a rocket from the very beginning and other things that just take a little longer, but can end up still doing really well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think we covered this one.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, RDA, for having us and giving us such a warm welcome. It was so beautiful. We came there and they had the morning coffee. We had the chance to actually meet and connect with everyone before starting our live. And you could just see the joy that those people had in being there and the way that they were serving the community and the big drive behind the incredible work they were doing.
And I think just the community spirit, you really felt very welcomed right from the beginning, you were part of the family right away. Everyone has something to do that they can contribute. Some people like feeding out hay, some people like working on the website.
Or scooping poo.
There's so many different ways that you can contribute. Or if you happen to be a horse nut, obviously you can fill your boots at the RDA. But if this is the first time you're hearing of it and you're somewhere near Cambridge and you think, geez, that actually sounds like somewhere I'd like to spend a bit of time, do it. Reach out to them because they're fantastic humans.
They're not just in Cambridge, they are a little bit across the country, so you can find the space that is closer to you. But then the following week, we went to a very different setting. It was Casabella Lane. And it's a place that I really enjoy and I go to quite often because it's close by to where I live. and it's an enclosed environment with different businesses. And it's like if you go into a time warp and you enter a space where the energy is different, the businesses are different, so you feel it's kind of a me moment. Whatever you feel, whether you want to stop for a meal or a coffee, whether you want to go shopping, whether you want to go on a spa. So it was something that came very natural as a suggestion. We both went, Casabella Lane.
Yeah, 100%.
And we featured five businesses.
We
Can you
did.
tell us more? Yeah.
One of the things that we elaborated on was the idea of doing activities or having some kind of interest point. So we went first to Midas, the jewelers, where he showcased a little bit of the hot work that he does with metal, which is kind of, got the flamethrower and the liquid gold and that sort of thing in the video. And that has done really, really well because people are just really interested in that. I think most of us wear jewellery, but we don't know how it's made. And so to get a little insight into someone who does this for a living and has been doing it for 40 or more years was really special. And so that like people like to see how you do your thing, not just the finished product, but actually how you get to that finished product.
Yeah.
That was super interesting.
The live is a really good way of telling stories and learning the story behind it, even starting a business like that, which is in the market for quite some time, and seeing the point of difference. And in their case, repairing the jewelry and even having stones that you can tailor in your own ring was quite unique.
Yeah.
So the entire thing, once we connected with the businesses, and we had 5, which I'll say in a minute. But the topic was, can we have a me moment of really self-appreciation? What those 5 businesses could be in that case. And the winners went to Midas, the jeweler. We went to the bookstore, Poppy's Bookstore, an amazing place. The third one was
Bamboo Suite or
renting with SB, which is a store where you rent
a ball gown or something gorgeous to go to an event.
Then we went to the Bamboo Suites.
Yes.
Where, there's a world of praline. And the last one was Nature Spa, where you can really pamper yourself.
Absolutely.
So there was a theme.
There was a theme of pampering yourself and self-care at Casabella Lane. Again, the variety, the fact that there were 5 businesses allowed us to get very different content each day. Obviously, we weren't able to just spend 5 days on just one business, which meant that each business got a little bit less coverage. But across the board, basically, if someone's coming to Casabella Lane to see Midas Jewelers, they'll be seeing the other businesses as well. Or if they're coming to the bookshop, they'll be seeing the other businesses as well. So we're giving the space exposure more so than the individual businesses one at a time. And that seemed to work. We did get a very good hit rate in terms of views that week. And we had a really good time as well.
But there was that variety. On one side, the variety was meant that we would have something different every single day. On the other hand, the variety meant that it was difficult to choose the one post that would go out with the amazingness that those businesses brought. Like, what is the one information that you put out there?
It's really tough to choose.
So difficult.
Also, we did these little videos of us eating these pralines. And it was the first time afterwards when we were doing when the posts went up, when I was like, I really had the, I don't know, like just a whakama or, the sort of like just cringe factor of like watching the video back. So I know most people who are thinking about doing videos for their business are like, oh, I hate being on camera. I hate seeing myself on camera. I hate hearing my voice on camera. And we don't want you to think that somehow because we're doing this, we are not immune to that either. And we definitely had that for that. But you know what? Like hardly anyone watched that video except for, and probably 3 of the 4 people that watched it was me, just cringing over and over again.
The others really enjoyed it. This is the thing. We cringe. The others are with us. They don't see what we see.
They're not criticizing the way your hair's dropped out of its hold, or the fact that, you know, your wrinkles are a bit more exposed in that light, or that you look a bit chunkier, or, you know, like that somehow that imagery's turned out in a way that you think is unflattering for you. What I always thought about was when, back in the day when everything went in newspaper, everybody used to say today's news, tomorrow's fish wrap. And so, you know, like, people don't really need to worry about what was in the news today, because by tomorrow we just use it to wrap our fish and chips and put it and line the kitty litter bin, right? So it's like, that's history. Online, it's even less time than that. You know, like, the reality is people want fresh content, and the algorithm kind of chews you up and spits you out pretty quickly. So if you don't like that post, don't worry about it. Move on to the next one, and that one will be forgotten so soon.
And the improvement from one to the other will be incredible.
Yeah.
You just grow with the posts, and you see what works, what doesn't. So in the same way that Auntie Sarah was saying about being a little bit shy and self-conscious, I felt that because I was holding the stick, and the stick needs to hold both of us in the frame, I was looking very vain, because it seemed like if I was always checking on me. Well, actually, I was checking that I had the two of us in the frame. So it can come out in so many different ways. And I'll say, don't let it stop you.
Don't
Go
let
live,
it stop you.
Be yourself. That's your superpower.
And try not to cross the road while you're using your selfie stick. Because we did once again.
We're still here.
We're still here.
We're like a cat with 9 lives.
3 down, 6 to go. So we tried to get run over again right at the beginning of that video.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of that live. But that was the next kind of learning. Again, you know, like, the more businesses, the more prep. So Manu in particular did so much prep in terms of actually making connections with the owners, having conversations, explaining what we're doing, making a bit of a plan for how we were going to attack it. That actually did take a lot more time. But then you end up with so much more footage and options in terms of what you can do your posting with as well. So
it's all about connection as well, isn't it?
It is.
And really connecting with those businesses and creating this exchange. It's really important because we want to also represent the businesses that we are featuring in a way that will make them proud, and understanding the story behind it, what moved them to start the business and to keep going with it. It's really a story in itself.
What's really interesting is that what gets eyeballs is not what you think. So we did a praline video about Manu eating a butter chicken praline from Bamboo Sweets.
She made me eat the butter chicken praline.
I know. Well, I just wanted her to experiment. I had the mascarpone delicious.
I chose it.
Yeah. So it was like I got the winner. But she had like this video, and it was just the fact. I think it was to do with the fact there's no chicken. We said there's no chicken in your butter chicken praline. That was the headline. And that went gangbusters on socials, and we're laughing because we think it might have caught a vegan train or something like that on socials. But yeah,
it was delicious. I must say, it's delicious. I did make some faces
because it's so novel.
It's in the idea of eating a butter chicken praline, I think the brain doesn't actually compute with the taste immediately. It takes a little while. And yet it's such a beautiful experience and a beautiful praline. But it was hilarious. And it was interesting because we had those 2 pralines. So same tasting, same time posted. Everything is the same, but one did really well, one didn't. So you actually don't know what will be the thing. And it's good to explore and to experiment and see your learnings.
It was more evidence that you have to be in it to win it. With social media.
Yeah.
Like you have to be on social media for a post to be able to do well. And you have to have multiple posts to be able to see what does and what doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it, but the fact that you're there multiple times gives you good odds. So that would be my encouragement. Just keep posting. You know, nobody watched that one. That's okay. Try again. see if the next one, what kind of words can I use that might get my audience to come and have a look at this. Cool, try again. And then keep doing it. The great thing is the really bad videos you make really early on, hardly anyone watches mostly. So you get to practice without too much of an audience. And then as you get better and you get more of an audience, your videos are also improving. So you're not as shy about them either. They're not as cringe.
Yeah, the confidence. Wow, the time is up. The confidence rises, and now we have surpassed the 26,000 views. And also our confidence of doing videos and our knowledge has actually stacked up. So it becomes easier. I think one last item that I want to touch on as a learning was that we started with that confidence, also playing with the different formats. In our case, we use Canva because it was easy, but there are other tools as well. There is AI tools that can be used, and this is maybe the next step for us. And playing with the different formats. So we were putting it into Square, adding little signs and putting the music on, and just getting a little bit more playful about the way that we were displaying our messages, and hoping that it will actually speak to the audience.
Absolutely.
Well,
definitely. The thing that allowed us to add like really clear calls to actions was the signage onto the videos, which is really helpful, just so you know right from the beginning of the video, what is this video about, what do we want you to do, and then people are more likely to follow that instruction, like see the link in comments or something like that. It gives you that option. But one of the things we are looking at now, and started to do that week actually at Casabella Lane, is to play with TikTok, because we had set up a TikTok account and we had posted 0 videos at that point, and we'd already got 44 followers on TikTok, and we were like, okay, if you can get followers without even posting a video, we have to try it. And then also we've really identified that Instagram is a favorite platform for a lot of these businesses. So we really need to make the most of that so they can tag us in and stuff like that by also adding Instagram on. So we're looking at using AI to enable cross-platform posting in the future. So follow us and see how we figure it out, and hopefully you can learn how to do some of this for your own business as well at home. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. So follow, subscribe, and next week, again, at the same time, we'll have the last lot of businesses, the last lot of learnings, to speed up your journey with going live, because it is a way that you can tell your story in an authentic way, get in front of people that will become your tribe, and start creating those modern relations.
Love it. Okay, have a wonderful day. Ka
Bye.